Hello and welcome to Mike's Garage. In our last video, I got disconnected. I stepped on a cord. So my apologies. What we're doing is a follow-up to the end of that video. So please bear with me. What we did in the last video is we adjusted the tension on the primary belt, the actual free play on the primary belt. So what I'd like to say is when you've got it all done and checked out for free play, go back to the other side of the bike, tighten the trans down for that final tightening. Once you've reached that final tightening, check the free play on that belt again to make sure that when you cinched that transmission down real tight, it didn't take your free play away. This may take a couple of tries. If it does, start over again. Get right back to that place. So once you've got the free play set on your primary belt, the next thing is to adjust the final drive chain, because now you've moved the transmission, you've moved the transmission back. So what it's going to do is it's going to cause the final drive chain to be loose, and you'll need to adjust your rear wheel to set that final drive up fine. So there it is. Okay, the next thing is the clutch pedal. Now, not everybody has a hand shift and a foot clutch, but this bike has a factory hand shift and foot clutch. In 1952, the new models came out with a foot shift. This one was ordered with a hand shift, and it's fun. Now, what I hear all the time is people talking about a suicide shift. No such thing as a suicide shift. It's a suicide clutch. The reason they call it a suicide clutch is because if you take your foot off that clutch and the clutch engages, you'll shoot out into traffic when you're stopped at a stoplight. So a lot of guys used to defeat them because they like riding with a suicide clutch. This is not a suicide clutch. This is a standard, a lot of guys call it a rocker clutch or a treadle clutch. It's disengaged by going like this and engaged by going like this. If it's not adjusted properly, it will function like a suicide clutch. Not good. Or it's good if you like it. So there is a friction disc in here and a spring, all of which should be cleaned. And this one has already been quite a while back. It's pretty nice. So what I'm going to do is tighten it up. This is a 7/8 wrench on the nut on the back here. Can you get in and see that where the nut is back there? It's kind of hard to see. But as I disengage the clutch, it wants to re-engage by itself. Okay, now we're going to tighten it up some more. Still not quite tight enough. A little more. Okay, now we're going to disengage the clutch. Still wants to move on its own. Now this is just an adjustment. So what I want to say is something an old boy taught me many years ago. Adjust it properly, but never trust it. So there you go. It's disengaged, and now it's engaged. By rocking my foot forward, it engages the clutch. Now that that's adjusted properly, I can move on to the shifter. Again, having moved the transmission back to the rear, it threw this thing out of adjustment. And all you need to do is disconnect it at the lever and adjust this clevis. Now, the way I normally do it is it's in neutral right now, so I'll spin the rear wheel and pull it into first gear. Now, if there's enough travel that it engages into first gear good and solid without hitting the end of the shift gate, then it's adjusted properly for first gear. Now back into neutral, now into second gear. And there it is. I can go all that distance and it engaged completely. Same thing into third and fourth, which quite often is the roughest one because you've got to get it to travel just a little bit further than it needs to go to fully engage that gear. All right, we'll put it back into neutral. And we're done. The primary belt is adjusted, the clutch is adjusted, the final drive chain is adjusted, and the shifter is adjusted. So there you have it. I think we finished that now. I finished it the other day and took it for a ride and suddenly realized I had forgotten to take up the tension on that rocker pedal. Exciting ride. Anyway, that's it for now. What I'd like to say is, again, if you like our videos, please subscribe. And until the next one, see you out on the road.